Bumblefoot Thole, and you're watching Guitar Tales. Nothing but Guitar Tales.
I'm Joe Normal, and you're watching Guitar Tales with Dave Cohen and Scott Guitar Masasenko. Have a rockin' day.
You know, aside from the fact that Scott and I are so flattered and humbled that someone as big as Bumblefoot did a promo for us, I hate it because I have that damn tune stuck in my head. I hear his voice singing a Star Wars version of Guitar Tales, and it never leaves my head. But overall, we're quite grateful for it. Tonight's show will be phenomenal. I know that already because we have friend of the show, Mooch, who is the leader of the wonderful, wonderful band Big Bang Baby. But even better for us is the fact that he's a phenomenal guest, an interesting guy who has interesting opinions that he expresses quite articulately. But we want to thank, before we all hop on the screen, we'll give you a little ad later on in the show, our great sponsors. We have Confections of a Rock Star, and we have Little Andy's Burgers, both on Cookman Avenue in Asbury Park. We'll talk a little more about them later. But let's get right into the show. We're going to talk about technology and whether or not it is destroying music.
Guitar Tales, motherfucker. Not bad, right?
That was actually pretty good. You sounded like him.
Maybe I can get a job in Bumblefoot's band.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Guitar Tales cover. A Star Wars cover. Hey, yeah. Dave.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
If for fans of the show, you might remember Mooch from our big roundtable show way back in season 2 when we were in studio at Riverview Studios.
Wait. 2019. 2019. Yeah. It's 2026.
Before that awful virus started killing people off and all that. But we had a great discussion. And if it's okay with you, I like to open the show with a clip from that show.
Hell yeah.
I went to a bar one night, a room down in Atlantic City. This is a true story. This is where I've had it. I was at the end of my rope with music. There was an 8-piece band on stage.
Right.
There was a keyboard player with 2 stacks of keyboards. There was 2 guitar players, there was 2 female singers, there was, of course, bass, drums, even a sax player. And I'm listening, they take a break, and I walk over to the keyboard player and I say, "Excuse me, are you running samples?" He goes, "Yeah, we are." I'm like, "Why are you here?"
Right.
And he goes, "I don't understand what you mean." I'm
Still funny.
"I know. That's why I'm asking you." I says, "Why are you running samples? You have a full 8-piece band here." He goes, "Well, it makes it full." I'm like, "Huh, all right, well, listen, have a great night. Here's $1. I put a single on his keyboard and went, "I'm very sorry."
I like they only gave him $1.
Yeah.
You cheapskate. Let's get that cheapskate in here, Mooch. Let me get you.
See, he's a Mooch. He's a.
Yeah, maybe that's what
I am. What's going on?
There we go.
Yeah,
Guitar Tales, party time, excellent.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in my basement and everything. You got the pipes. We got the pipes up here.
You were so much fun and interesting on that show.
You know, we kind of forgot we were on camera. It was just a bunch of guys hanging around talking shit. It was really great.
And we were drinking. I think, didn't we give you whiskey? I think we poured some good scotch or whiskey that night.
I was drinking, I think, tequila that night for my blood sugar. Yeah. But anyway.
That is better. Yeah.
I just saw that video and I was going to talk about that because that was one moment that really just blew me away when I walked up. And of course, the common ear can't hear something like that. I did. I watched all the instruments and I heard the sample going through an 8-piece band, and I was just scratching my head. I could not, of course, sometimes I can't resist not to go up to somebody and ask them why.
Yeah.
When you're saying samples, you really mean tracks, right? Because samples and tracks really, to me, are two different things.
Right, a track. They were running a track, yes. Yeah. Whether it's a track or they're running sampled vocals. I've heard that before. And I know that we're on the subject of this, and I was looking forward to it. It's been a long time. It's good to see you guys, by the way. Really.
You too.
Even though it's virtual.
And we do see you in person periodically at Bar A and elsewhere. But yeah.
Yeah, their roster is full. We're gonna put up Big Bang's website QR code later in the show at some point. Just plug the band because they are very busy, and Mooch has been at this a long time, and you've seen the technology have an effect on cover bands as well as professional. But I feel it's affecting cover band circuit and the amateur circuit more now than ever before. If you go to any open mic, let's say, and you got amateur musicians up there just trying to have a good time, they are staring into iPads and reading the lyrics right off the thing. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not expecting to get a great performance at open mic type situation. You know, you might want to have all your tools there to get through something off the cuff without any practice. I get that. But you see bands doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
not duets, trios, quartets, full size bands, everybody's staring into the monitor.
Yes.
And
Well, Scott and I talked about it a lot. And, this stems back to, I started a cover band, industrial cover band with Paul Crook called Gotham. Him and I started. I guess you guys might remember that band from the circuit, Gotham. Industrial band. Yeah, Paul Crook and I started it. And that's when I really learned about technology and tracks. So this was around 99, 2000, we started Gotham. So him and I sat down, he says, I want to start an industrial band. And I'm leading into what we're talking about. So Paul had gotten some tips personally from Trent Reznor. He's made a lot of contacts in the road, and him and I toured with Belladonna from Anthrax and met a lot of national acts. And it was interesting that he told me that he got some ideas to do Gotham from Nine Inch Nails, from Trent Reznor personally himself, how to track and what to do. Because as you guys know, this technology was around. It really started with industrial, with Nine Inch Nails, Prodigy. Well, they're a little bit further ahead. But Ministry and Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor.
Yeah, that driving backtrack going.
Yeah.
That's where they started. Nine Inch Nails started this whole wave way before its time. If you listen to Nine Inch Nails, they got a full track of almost like a weird industrial band running behind the band live. But that was the art for the industrial style. It wasn't mainstream. Mm-hmm. So when we started Gotham, we were doing an industrial tribute band. We were running all samples.
Right.
So
interesting.
Yes, we were doing Nine Inch Nails, Ministry, Prodigy, and that was the first time I got exposed to it. And so we're running this whole full basic. It's basically putting a CD in and putting it behind the band live. And I remember at one point when we were playing live, I stopped playing. I took my hands off my bass, and nobody in the band noticed. And I looked over at Paul. I go, I haven't played the whole song.
Wow.
And not that I didn't enjoy doing it. It's more of a technical engineer thing. I just wasn't happy about it because I was raised and brought up. Raw is good. When you don't have, how can I say it? When you don't have a Linus blanket, you have to create. And when you're naked, you have to create, especially on acoustic. So anyway, so back to Gotham, it kind of turned me off. I didn't like it. For the style and for the years that I have learned how to play my instrument well, learning from people like Flea and Geddy Lee, John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. These are the guys that I look to.
So you play ukulele?
That's right. Scott does a really good version of Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run sax. Still like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Everybody talks about that.
But yeah, it was frustrating. So, I kind of stepped out, departed from the Gotham thing, not because I didn't love it. I love the guys too. It just wasn't my speed.
It's hard to be tied down to a track, isn't it? And when the train falls off the tracks is a word to use a.
Oh, that's a good metaphor, actually.
Metaphor. Thank you, Dave. Dave's good with the big words.
I talk good.
It's a disaster. Absolute disaster.
You know what you're getting me to think of, Paul?
What's that?
And because we're going to be drawing lines all night, right? I'm a Who fanatic.
Okay.
I'm thinking about the keyboard and Won't Get Fooled Again, which was kind of programmed when they would play it live.
Right.
And we're all okay with that, I think. But we know on the other extreme, we all hate it. Well,
that's just an intro. That's just an intro to. You're talking about the Who, Won't Get Fooled Again. The intro. or
Yeah,
Bob
or
O'Reilly.
Maybe I'm thinking of Bob O'Reilly.
Bob O'Reilly, right? That's
Yeah.
the sequencer going at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. So Bob O'Reilly was what, 71, I think. So in 71, I wonder if some people like this isn't good, you know?
Well, you know, they talked about it. They used to use a tape, regular, you know,
Yeah.
tape, and the tape broke before a big show, and they were like, "Oh shit! Now what? What the hell are we
Trains
gonna
off
do?"
the rails.
In the early days, it was impossible doing this stuff live because we had to play with tapes, and Keith had to strap headphones to his head. Sound-wise, it was incredibly useful to have the extra dimension of the synthesizer on a tape, but performance-wise, it was incredibly inhibiting because you could never break away from it. You had to sit with that tape, otherwise you were stuffed, which we quite often were.
You're in the hands of a tape machine now. Machines go wrong, and when they go wrong, it doesn't matter whose fault it is. Everyone looks at the person that's next to it, and I even up until and still to this day, when we do that on the road, my heart goes into my mouth when I hit that button. Like before, I'm looking at it thinking, "Are you going to work?" I don't trust machines; they go wrong.
So they played the song without the keyboard in it.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine actually having the room on stage, especially me as being a front man.
Yeah.
You know, I want to have the room to extend something. I want to bring it down. I'll look at the guys and say, okay, you know, just keep it there. I'm going to talk for a little while. You know,
Yeah.
Right.
When you have tracking or samples going on, it becomes sterile. The sterility of the show gets really hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really does. And you can't perform. And then I remember having one time I had a drummer of mine, I won't name him, and when he sees this video, he's going to know who I'm talking about.
All right, it's me.
Yeah, so he decided he was actually in my band. We were in a band together with Gotham. So he ran a sample. We did Bust a Move, old cool song. So he goes, I just want to add some percussion to it. I'm like, it wasn't happening for me. I didn't want him to do it. But I said, okay, all right. Midway through the song, the sample craps out.
Right.
Right.
And I looked at the guys ago and I said, keep going, keep going.
Right.
And I walked up to him and we had stopped for a minute. I walked up, I ripped the cable out. I said, never again will we ever use this sample ever again.
Yeah, it's just when it goes. Now I used to do a solo gig with tracks, which, you know, that's kind of, you know, acceptable. I'm still playing the guitar, I'm still singing, but I did feel, you know, locked into that track. You cannot elaborate, you cannot stretch, you cannot vamp. You know, if I'm having a particularly great solo, I got to cut it and get back into the song again.
Right.
Yeah. And do you think, Scott, when you did that cut some of the energy you tried to put into the room to follow up what Mooch is talking about? Like,
yeah, but but it's a single act. Even though I was energetic, it's still a single act. You know, so
how is it if you go back to that time, right? Same gig, and you're going to do it just you and guitar, vocal and guitar. Could you have created as much satisfying music with just you and guitar?
Well, it sounded like a full band. It was just me by myself.
That's what I mean. But you alone.
It was really a financial decision, really, not a creative decision.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. If we went back in time, like that movie Changing Doors or whatever it was, right? And you and the owner said, I don't care if you don't have a band. I don't care if you have don't worry about backing tracks, because you're a great guitar player and you're a great singer. Yeah. Could you have kept the crowd as happy and entertained with just
maybe
those two
in
things?
Certain settings, but not in larger settings, I think.
Right.
They want to hear that driving bass and the drums and all that. And I was using vocal harmonizers plugged into the system through MIDI. So if there was a C chord in the song, I was getting 3-part harmony by singing one voice.
Paul has an opinion.
I'm just listening to this, and I'm already getting my skin is getting scaly.
Yeah. But you're right. It was very sterile.
Yeah.
It's you know what, it's not that I'm not against it, and I know there's going to be people out there going to razz me and maybe make comments. That's fine. Good. More algorithms. Great attack.
Yeah.
I just don't even agree with acoustic now, because I've always set out to prove the industry wrong, and actually set out to prove the musicians wrong.
Right.
And it comes down to it with an acoustic. So, for example, I have trios, I have duos, and I do solo. So I have kick drum. I have a kick drum pedal. I bring a kick drum pedal to my acoustic solo show. I have on my other left foot is a foot tambourine. I have my acoustic, and I do my whole show.
Who are you, Geddy Lee?
I was just going to say
that's where I was raised by, pretty much.
Talk about playing a bunch of stuff at once. Geddy Lee, come on.
That's how I learned.
If you're interested, I have the opposite opinion. Now, this guy is a fan of rock and roll. You know him very well when you see him on the screen. Now, we're going to be able to talk over this. I could pause it if you want.
Yeah.
But this is from one of our shows we did with Bully Ray, the pro wrestler, Hall of Fame wrestler from WWE. You may know him as Mongo. He had an opinion about the track, so we asked him about, what do you think of like Frankie Valli and all this stuff that we're seeing online, where it's very embarrassing. It looks like a robot. And quite frankly, the record's playing and he's just walking around with a mic in front of his face.
Yeah.
And he collects.
It's actually entertaining.
Yeah. It was. I just stared at my computer for like 5 minutes, and I
felt so bad.
Yeah.
Who's making him do that?
Hey, I want to be vertical at that age. If I'm vertical at that age, I'm ahead of the game.
Here's what Bully Ray had to say about tracks and so forth.
Smoke and mirrors has been used in magic, have been used in music, and has been used in wrestling since day one.
I bet, yeah.
Listen, before Milli Vanilli got exposed, they were all smoke and mirrors.
Oh, yeah.
Selling millions of records.
I've been fortunate enough to be on stage while Ozzy was performing, and there's the dude right off stage who plays the synthesizer and sings with Ozzy to thicken Ozzy's sound. Smoke and mirrors. I don't give a shit. It makes the performance better.
It makes the audience feel better. They have a greater experience.
On Kiss's last tour, the thing was, oh, well, they're playing with backing tracks, or Paul's voice is dubbed over. What? I don't care. Mm-hmm. I'm going to see a show. Yeah. I want to hear the band sound the best that they possibly can. Like, I hear so many people bitch and complain about, oh, well, he's not really singing, or, oh, they're not really playing their instruments. Other than going to see Frankie Valli these days.
Yeah.
Which we did a show about.
Yeah. I think everybody is singing as best that they can.
Yeah.
And I think they're playing as best as they can. But if there's a backtrack or back vocals to sweeten it and make it sound good, and I paid $300 for a ticket, go right ahead. I want to see the show. I'm not going to complain, because when I go to see David Copperfield, I know that the elephant doesn't really disappear.
Right.
But I give him a stand.
So, valid points. Valid points.
Yeah, it's valid, but it's
that's more from the position of the spectator. So that's a question. Do you think the spectator notices? Do you think the spectator cares that there's tracks or not? I don't know if they do.
No, the spectator doesn't even know. I've seen this for years. I'm not saying that Mongo is not wrong, because the spectator doesn't know. They don't hear the samples. They don't hear anything. It's all intertwined in. The problem is, listen, when you have a big production and you have a lot of money behind it and you can throw money at it, you know what, and throw bells and whistles and lights and everything else. Yes, of course, no one's going to notice it. They're going to shiny object, big laser lights and big intelligent lighting and smoke and everything else. That's production. And he's talking about Kiss. Well, Kiss is, listen, I am not here. Mongo and I couldn't even debate with him. I won't even debate what I just saw with him, because he's not a musician. I'm talking from the back. I'm talking from the musician part. The musician part is, as we've moved forward into this technology, the technology has taken over more than a musician. So what it does is more technology, less creativity, less improvising for a musician.
Right.
And that means it's okay, with my band or any band I've been with, I'm like, I don't care about mistakes. I don't give a shit. You know what? Mistakes are fun. Just, what, you
Yeah.
hit a clamor, roll through it. Let's go. Roll through it, smile. It doesn't matter. Perfection is not good. Perfection is what I believe the audience feels. When it's too perfect, it's too good. They feel it.
Yeah.
I think that audiences are smart, but they're also ignorant. They're ignorant to not hearing the samples, but they feel something. And
Yeah.
especially with persona, look around you now. How many personalities are left on stage now? Or even look around the cover circuit. There's not a lot of chatter. No one knows how to speak on the mic. No one knows how to engage the audience.
Mhm.
Those are important things. And when you're running tracks or running samples with a timer, and you have no room to improvise.
That's what you're concentrating on. You can't. It makes it hard to perform. I can tell you that from experience. I'm
Yeah.
worried about, am I ahead of the track? Am I behind the track? What's the next segment coming up? When's the break? How many
Right.
measures? All this shit's going through your head, and you don't have time to communicate with the audience. At least
I wonder if, in the law, AI is doing a lot of things that are very helpful in terms of making us do a better job of representing our clients. So I'm learning a little bit about the insanity of what AI can do. And I wonder where AI is going to step in because, I suspect the next generation of backing tracks will just say, just move with me.
it's funny you should
And
mention
it'll
that.
probably do it.
I
Hey,
created a song about Mooch using AI.
Oh, there's a good
Yeah.
intro. I did that by accident too.
Mooch runs down a midnight street, guitar sung low or reveling deep, smoking
Can you
like
believe this?
chaos unfolds. Big bang, baby, gonna shake your soul.
And, it has a bridge, it has guitars, and I didn't write any of this. The guitars are AI, the vocals AI. I told her what kind of song I wanted. All I said was Mooch is in a band called Big Bang Baby, and they play the cover circuit and rock the house or whatever. And it came up with a whole huge song with verses, chorus, guitar solo,
Great.
everything. And I didn't have to raise a finger.
That's
Isn't that
craziness.
insane?
It
It's
is.
insane, and I've seen that too. But you can bet that ChatGPT down the road will be coming for 50% of those royalties if you put that out.
Yeah, that's right.
There's no
It
doubt.
will.
Now,
They got it all stored.
you were talking about audiences. How does the rise in technology, personal technology, I'm talking about iPhones, iPads, and that kind of thing, and social media affect the crowd or affect the audience? Either getting them there or while they're there, how do you engage them to keep them off this thing? A lot of this at concerts, right?
Yeah.
I used to go to a concert years ago, and besides having a couple of beers and just having a good time and enjoying the music, I wasn't there to take selfies. I wasn't there to take pictures of the band. I don't even take videos of the band now when I go to see a show. I'm there to enjoy. I put the phone away.
Well, I don't. It's amazing to me. It's all of us are indoctrinated. We like to scroll. We're indoctrinated with apps. We're indoctrinated with the phone. We can't. We're all stuck with it. But I've seen a decline. Looking at, I'll go 25 years. I'll go 25 years where back 25 years ago, people would recognize if I sang a line wrong in the verse, and then you keep forward fasting a little bit more and more and more. And I'm looking at the crowd. To this day, all they hear is maybe the chorus. They just want to hear the tagline of the chorus. The rest of it, if you watch people in the crowd, they don't learn lyrics anymore like they used to. I used to have people 25 years ago. I saw you said the third line wrong in the second verse. I'm like, God damn. Wow.
Right. That's interesting.
But I would always come back and say, hey, did you have fun? Yeah, but I saw that line, I'm like, wow, you were dedicated. Now, I'll watch people in the crowd on a verse, and this is what they'll do. That's all they do. They don't know the lines. It's gone down so much. The decline of music has gone down so much. Like I said, we said the Linus blanket. On top of the technology, people are finding different ways to get around things and get a certain edge. So as far as the phones in the crowd, if the engagement from 20 years ago till now, I've had to step up 1,000%.
Wow.
Almost saying some shocking things Or, well, as Scott knows, and you guys know, I get in people's faces. Like, I'll make
Right.
announcements. I'm like, why are you here? I'll even point somebody out. I'm like, why are you on your phone?
Yeah.
Over the PA. Now, she'll either get aggravated or she'll put it down. Some people have put it down. I said, the party's here. It's not on your phone. But then I
Right.
see 100 people or 1,000 people videotaping concerts. I'm like, okay, so you're going to put it on YouTube and everybody else is going to watch it. That's the artist loves it. Is why I never understood why the artists sometimes would get mad when they were filming. Let them film. They're just giving
Yeah.
you algorithms and more album sales.
It's exactly right. Yeah.
You know, but as far as stopping that trend, no. I mean, there's going to come a time where we're going to have holograms. I'm going to be sitting on my couch and there's going to be Mooch on stage on a hologram. People like,
That's a great observation. I can tell when we sing a song, unless we're at the chorus, the big chorus, right? Whatever it is, they're just can we forget about this? They're looking at their phone or not paying attention. Oh, this is the part I want to sing. Blah blah, and then they put their phone away and get into it, right?
right. But this all crosses over to the instrument playing. The instrument playing, the Linus blanket. When you have a Linus blanket, that's just my analogy. You're never going to ever get yourself out of that box. You're not going to get and I see a lot of young Gen Z players. There's some really great players, but like you guys know that drummer El Stepario or something. He's from South America.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He went one hand and doing
Right.
drum. I'm like, great. Show me something that you can create original.
Yeah, he doesn't have that.
Yeah, everything's a mimic today. Everything's a tribute. Everything's a mimic. So why I'm so passionate about this is because my band is a trio, the basic band. Now I could add horns if I'm doing a wedding or something, but my band is a basic trio: bass, drums, and guitar. That's it. So I just played a show about 3-4 weeks ago at Harrah's. The greatest honor I've ever had. Older gentleman walked up to me and said, "Your band sounds like a seven-piece band." He goes, "Wow, how do you do it?"
Right.
And I says, "Well, it's through creativity, because my band doesn't have any launching pad or Linus blanket to hide behind."
Right.
When we do all styles, we'll do a Bruno Mars song that has horns in it. So what I do is I take it and I say, listen, let's approach it more like the Chili Peppers, more funk groove. So this gets my new guitar player in the band loves this band. He said one thing to me, he goes, I have all the room to create something different. I'm like,
Right.
Yeah.
Fill the holes, fill it up, make it funky.
Yeah, a lot of people say, "Oh, you're only doing covers," but you can put your own stamp of approval on your own cover, your own personality, your own style.
That's the problem. I've been through so many musicians in my life that there's a lot of musicians are so indoctrinated into thinking it needs to sound like the album. I said, no, it doesn't. You're in a cover band. You're not here to. If I want you to mimic a cover song, I'll just listen to it on the old style jukebox.
Right.
Put my money in or tell the DJ, please play this song. I don't need it. Do your own twist. That's why the nerds and the Amish outlaws wear those outfits.
Right.
They wear those outfits for a reason, for entertainment. That's it. It's a gimmick. So for at least if you're not going to wear an outfit like the Amish or the nerds, have something that you could bring to the table. But what you guys were explaining is, go off on a tangent, is that this has gone spiraling so down that now a lot of these musicians I see, I think they're actually nervous to even get rid of their Linus blanket. They're so indoctrinated. It's like, no, wait. I've explained to a lot of musicians, no, you don't. Go back to the basics, start with your foundation, and create yourself. And also be an entertainer. That's it.
Last summer we went over on LBI, which is, I live around there.
Of course.
Chowder Fest. Just went over to have some good chowder and, try different things. They had a center stage outdoors, and, there were various bands, some of them kids, playing rock covers and things like that. We had lawn chairs, we had a bite to eat, a little glass of wine. That restored all of my faith. That event, even more than going to a bar and seeing higher level bands, seeing that event reminded me we're going to be okay, because AI backing tracks, it was like a local county fair, but it wasn't. You know, it was sort of a similar vibe to that. Um, that gave me some restored faith that something as simple as the way an amp sounds in the air, you know, and people watching a kid, some of them were probably under 20. There was, I think it was like a high school band, and they were pretty good, and then some better bands came on. But you knew there was something very natural about just regular band players. There wasn't this pressure to have a fuller kind of sound, with backing tracks. I don't think any of the bands had keyboards. It sounded nice and raw. Everybody was happy, and this, even the electrics instrumentation acoustically felt right. It just felt right. And I watched and I thought, we're going to be all right. Because no matter what happens with AI, they're not going to put androids up there, which probably will. We could laugh, but they'll probably exist in 5 months.
Right.
Not even 5 years at this point. But if you put in that, or if you took like the song that AI wrote for Scott that we just listened to, that's not going to grab a crowd. Because as good as it was, that human element that makes it interesting was missing. It's very generic, it's very flat. Everything was good, but for some reason, even the riff was good, and yet none of us were grabbed by it.
No.
I
I already forgot how it goes.
Yeah, right. It's like they want to be Billy Squire-ish, they want to be maybe a little heavier than that, but it wasn't anything. But I watched this event and I thought, this will still be there. Guitar into amp, bass into amp, drum into air, and maybe a little mic.
Right. You're right.
One thing I can say about a good thing about technology is that the miniaturization of everything and the quality of the digital stuff is getting better and better and better. Just a mere 10 years ago, I was using a half stack, and now I'm just using a 1x12 and a little digital pedal board thing.
Yeah, there are. Listen, right, in everything in life, there's good and bad, right? There's things on the table that are good, and there's some of the technology I do love. It helps out. It saves time. Just like Scott and I were talking about, I have a little iPad on my mic stand, but it's my set list. It's not for me to sit there and read where
You're
people
not
are saying,
you're not this guy.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
I think that's Bob Weir. Is that Bob Weir?
It looks like Weir.
It looks like him. It does look
The
like
only
him.
thing I could find on the internet of somebody, or and the bigger bands are using these things now. That is a $2,000 piece of equipment.
Wow.
It's got the verse, the chords, and everything right in front of you, so you can sing Amazing Grace in church.
Well, I guess it's great when you're background, or if no one's paying attention, you're sitting in a restaurant and people are just listening, you can get away with it. But when you're on a real stage, I don't even do it with acoustic. But even let's say the technology of click tracks, right? Click tracks go way back, right?
Mhm.
I never used a click track. I remember I was making the album with Joey Belladonna. The engineer wanted me. He said, "Do you want to go in the sound room and pick an amp and put the headphones on and lay down the tracks?" I'm like, "No." I said, "I'm going to bring my bass in the control room. We're going to plug right into the board. And we're going to lay this album down in 2 hours," which I did. I don't even like click tracks. I know that some people like click tracks. Like I said, to each his own. I just think that when you are controlled, even with click tracks, there's something that's lost naturally. That's all.
Yeah.
So
You're not going to get those tempo nuances like in some of the older music.
Right.
I mean, like Chicago. I can think of a million Chicago songs where it starts off kind of slow and then it kind of ramps up a little bit, and then then they pull back on the tempo.
Right.
The drummer is in charge, right? Danny Serpentine's in charge of how fast they're playing, and they're listening to him, and it's a cohesion there with all those, and that's a huge band, right? All those horns and everything.
Yep.
And they're just tight. They're
Yeah.
tight, but they have the leeway, the wiggle room.
Listen to this for a minute. Trish and I were talking about this, and I was telling her, because Trish is a very amazing traditional jazz singer too, unbelievable. And we were listening to old Sinatra. Now think about from the 40s, which to me was the greatest talent ever existed, was the 40s. That era.
All that swing.
All the swing.
Yeah.
Sinatra and the band in the full room. One take. Well, you can go over takes, but there was no tracking. You had to get it right. You have to get it right. And listen to those players back in the day. They were so amazing that they knew
They were.
a 20-piece orchestra with an upright bass and drums and blah, 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 and Sinatra singing. They just conditioned themselves to be better players because of that. And as it went on, we got to tracking, and now all the way up to this day and age. Think about it. We're talking close to 100 years of progression.
If you compare a simple rock song like Louie Louie to a song from the 40s.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, I think there's an essence of laziness that I think it's coming out now. Like, they're even getting lazy and complacent. They're like, I don't have to learn lyrics. I got them right in front of me. I don't have to learn guitar licks. I got it on the track. I don't have to sing harmonies. I got a vocal harmonizer. And it's weird. It's kind of a form of laziness, I think.
It is a form of laziness. The 40s, why I focus on the 40s so much is because those guys were just lethal. And her and I were listening to one. I'm like, really listen to these guys. These guys, a lot of them didn't even follow theory back then. They just played what they felt, and they just kept they pushed themselves more and more, and then created. And it's just a lethal generation of musicianship. Any musician today, I recommend go listen to the 40s, the Sinatra era, and call me back and tell me how good that was.
I was listening to some stuff today while I was working around the house, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And in my little Apple set list, for some reason, I had in there a Little Rascals music was in there.
Yeah.
I can see that from you, Scott.
And I was listening like, wow, that's really complicated. There's a lot going on there.
There sure is. Yes, it is. And like you said, if I was to make an Excel spreadsheet of the 40s back up till now, we've gone backwards. It's not just about fooling people. Like I said, with Mongo, I understand what he's saying. I get it. He doesn't give a shit. Right. I just want to be entertained. That's fine. Then call Gallagher up and get some watermelon and smash the shit out of it on stage.
That's right.
I have another issue to talk about a little bit. I found this graph today.
Okay.
And I think it speaks for itself. The making a buck in music, selling records. Now look at this thing. Woo. This is a graph of types of media and what was popular and how much money. So you can see the vinyl there in the beginning, and then the rise of the cassettes.
Yep,
right?
yep.
And then CDs were huge for 20 years. 20 years they were selling CDs and making money. Along comes Napster. Look what happens to the sales of all those media.
Yeah, it's a literal mountain and a valley.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, they fell off a cliff.
I was right in that, watching that. I was even watching the legal ramifications of it, of course, even on the business side, and watching Lars from Metallica in front of Congress. We all remember that.
Yep, yep.
So that was a
millions of dollars lost there.
Yeah,
and the even the streaming and the downloading. Now this goes up to about 2016, I think this graph is. That's certainly gone up, but you know how many streams you got to sell to make a buck compared to selling,
a literal buck
selling a CD?
Yeah.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the new payola is YouTube. You guys remember the payola scandal, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Well, this is the new YouTube is the new payola. I said it a few years ago, and I told people that. I said, listen, of course, I don't want to get, maybe we might have to cut this one out of the video. So maybe I should just have a two-headed monster name for it instead of saying the real name.
Yeah, that's right.
you know what I'm saying? I'm careful. I try to be careful. But
no, I get it. Yeah.
Well, let's just say that the new payola, and you will hear about it down the road. You will hear about it, that these streaming platforms, just like payola, are happening now. Look at some of the views and look at some of the big artists, how quickly they're on. It's no different. It's no different than the days of the record companies. Come on, you guys got to be glad that the record companies are gone, because a lot of artists were getting killed from it.
Yeah, it's true. It's all about the Benjamin. It still is. Follow the money.
But I grew up in a business family. So and then I'm a musician. So I'm on both sides. I'm torn between two lovers, feeling like a fool.
Loving both of you is breaking all the rules.
Who
wrote it? I don't know.
No, it's frustrating to me because I have a lot to say about it, but I'm my own worst enemy because it's both sides the way I think, legally, business-wise, and as a musician, I understand. But there is, even with the record companies, they need to make money. I used to tell my musician friends all the time, and listen, you're going to a record company, it's no different than a bank. They lend you money, They give you the money up front, and they want their money back with interest. It's no different.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's
They
not,
made one record, then that record did well. They want a better record.
right, right.
Keep putting out records. They,
Depending how you
2 record
make the
deal,
publishing.
3 record deal.
Depending how you make the publishing deals. Depending how you make publishing deals and
So
everything.
how are musicians getting paid now through streaming? Is Apple just pay them a small
Ads.
stipend of $1? A
Ads. They're getting
99-cent
paid
song?
ads. Yeah. Well, I mean, no one's downloading, so I don't think even. I gave up years ago. I don't even think people are downloading songs anymore and paying.
I don't think they are either.
I just stream it.
Why should
Yeah.
you?
There isn't a song I can think of that I can't find on Amazon Music right now.
No.
Right.
If you could think of it, it's there.
Yeah, and it's there with your little paid subscription. It's free.
Yeah.
You know?
I go to YouTube. Every time a new album comes out, I just wait. They dump it on YouTube, and I listen to it on there.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. I'm not one here to go save the vinyl. Save the vinyl.
Yeah.
But it was a perfect marriage, that MTV and music, and they made a lot of money doing that.
They did.
It was like having a commercial for your band.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very
Rotation.
good setup.
You
Yeah.
guys both know. Dave knows it too. I mean, people are always going to find a different route to make money and then legitimize it and legalize it, whatever the case is.
I know. And I'm interested in, we're talking technology and real big picture stuff.
Mhm.
Music, AI to some extent is going to try to entertain us. Maybe someday AI is going to feed us. Maybe AI will figure out how to farm for us.
Mhm.
Maybe AI will figure out efficient sources of energy. And this could go really, really, really badly. Or, and I don't predict this, we could enter this amazing phase. Music's a big part of it, where we suddenly, life becomes less physically painful, less disease ridden, less hunger ridden, less music deprived, more physically comfortable, more climate controlled. And maybe humankind finds its way, to a more comfortable existence, and we're able to grow because less of the harder things. I don't predict this at
As
all.
long
by
as
the way.
as long as it's a tool
Yeah.
that we can work with as a creator, okay? So
Yeah.
as a creator for this show, I use AI to create, thumbnails. I use AI to find the best
Yeah.
bits of this show and cut them into pieces and stuff. Saves me a lot of time and a lot of work. I use AI in editing to get rid of background noise and cut out dog barks and all that stuff.
And my guy is being good right now. He's
I know,
right
I
under
lost
my
the
arm.
So, but you don't want it to be that Linus blanket. There's that common
Yeah.
thread here. I think that's the big takeaway from today's show.
But
Don't let technology make you lazy. Stay creative.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Create music. Take chances. Perform, and don't let the backing track perform. You have to physically perform. I've seen Mooch sing 5 words of a song and not sing the rest of the song. That's how engaged the crowd is. Hez is another one from Amish Outlaws. If you're standing there with your arms folded or you're on your phone, he goes out on the floor and physically grabs you and makes you get involved.
Right. Shake you, engage you. Right.
Yeah.
But it's a battle. It's a battle, man. It's like, it's fighting the tide. It is fighting the
Right.
tide. That's the hard part about all this. It really is. But
It's a tide. It's actually, it's a tsunami,
yeah.
like it's coming, man. Like, so I spent 7 hours practicing law. I practice all day, but on one case, one set of issues. And what's interesting is AI allowed my legal creativity to be a little stronger. In other words, my brain didn't have to do certain things that it otherwise did. And I was thinking about it recently, and I think this applies to what we're chatting about. We are all of a certain age, and we all probably at one point in our lives owned a Texas Instruments calculator. Remember those? Like $60 for something can only add, subtract, and multiply. In today's dollars, it would probably be $300 or $400.
Right.
And it freed our brains from the responsibility, or maybe it freed our brains from the benefit of having to add, big swaths of numbers, 963 divided by 15, like no one has to do that anymore, I think it's okay. I don't know that it's okay.
I don't think I know my times tables anymore. So that's like
Yeah.
sort of
I-
a small version. Like I don't want it to come a time where doctors are relying on AI for surgery and medical decisions and stuff instead of
Maybe it's
relying on their
good.
own thing. But maybe
Or
yeah. But
a mixed
if
bag.
it's too much of that line, if it's too much of a Linus blanket, they might lose their training.
Yeah, but I think that I agree with Dave. I agree with Dave because you know what? It can be really beneficial, and AI is getting smarter and smarter, and there could be a lot of good coming out of AI. But of course, we know there will be bad too. I mean, there's always
Yeah.
bad actors who use it for the wrong reasons. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just part of life. I mean, you're not going to walk away from anything and saying, "Oh, it's all going to be good." Somebody with ill intent is going to grab it and use it
Yeah.
for intent.
Yeah.
You know, it's. But I tell you what, we should appreciate. Us three on this screen should appreciate it, and you ever realize it. Take a stop. I stopped for a minute and went, "Huh? You know, we are the generation that got to see everything. We went
Yeah.
from
The last one.
digital.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are. You'll never see,
Black and white TV.
yeah,
Yeah.
you'll never see that again. No, the next generations in front of us don't see that.
No.
You know, my grandmother had a 78 RPM record, a 78. When I was a little kid, I was like, "What is this?" It looked like a thing for the saw.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
It's a 78. I'm like, oh my God. So we got to see cassettes. We got to see vinyl. We got to see CDs. We are the last generation to see analog.
Betamax and 8-track tape, baby.
That's right.
Absolutely.
The last generation to be somewhere and not able to contact anybody.
So not all technology
Dave,
lasts
right,
forever. As
right.
great as the CD was, as great as DVDs are, streaming it's getting better and better. I mean, you could buy a 4K Blu-ray. It might look and sound a little bit better than streaming, but the regular person is not going to notice that, and they're not going to pay the
No.
extra money for that.
No.
They're not going to notice it, but I mean, we've got off track here a little bit from what our subject was, but
That's okay.
But
Yeah.
it's not that there's a lot of good things for the new generations. I never look back and go, "Oh, these new people are just no good. They're stupid." No, because there's a lot of smart people. But one thing they all have missed out on, nostalgia. They have missed out on getting a vinyl album or a CD or a cassette and opening it up and looking at the pictures and reading the lyrics and like, this is we all knew who the producers were because we would read the album and go,
Now,
"Oh,
that's the problem with not downloading, but streaming. You're just streaming the
Yeah.
hits. You want to hear
But
the hits. You don't want to hear the deep tracks.
but I'm gonna give some positivity level pushback on what Paul said because he's right. But social media, which is obviously all technology and all modern, has allowed the younger folks to develop a yearning for what we were lucky enough to have. And we're seeing all these kids who are playing older music, appreciating older music.
love it."
And I think that there is a little bit of backlash against, like backing tracks to bring us full circle and things like that.
Mhm.
You go on YouTube and you'll see, a kid on an acoustic guitar learning an old Jimmy Page lick. And or now like Freebird is having a day.
Unbelievable.
You know,
You're
like
right.
you know, and you see kids like there's that thing, some kid at a house party playing a really nice version of the Freebird lead in front of other kids, you know. So technology is arming younger folks with the ability to watch old clips that were originally on film.
Mhm.
And maybe, I think there's a yearning. My daughter bought herself a cheap turntable, a modern one, not an old used one, but good. And she took half my vinyl collection.
Wow.
And it makes me, and it's not a lot. I only had about 100
My
albums.
vinyl collection's under the stairs in the basement.
Right.
But I love that. So I think technology, ironically, can help the younger kids develop that appreciation for the older stuff that we know. Because social media lets them watch that kind of stuff and these old clips to come back. Stevie Ray playing through a broken string, and he changes it while he's playing, or he swaps out the guitar while playing, you know. So I have a little bit of optimism that we might be okay, but I don't necessarily predict it.
Yeah.
I feel like it might.
I do agree with you. I think it's a low percentage. I think
Yeah.
I think it's the parents of some of these Gen Zs or younger people that we see.
Yeah,
We're
undoubtedly.
influencing them, but it's a low percentage. I think
Yeah.
overall in the country itself, we have declined so much as far as accountability, creativity,
Yeah.
making it easier. That's why I'm a little scared. Around the world, I mean, people like down in South America, I see a lot of great musicians, man. My God.
Yeah.
But think
Yeah.
about this one thing I want to say to you guys is you talked about back in the 70s. You know, for us to even get back there as a country, as a culture, you're going to have to throw all this technology away. And that's
Yeah.
going to make you create. I mean, think about, okay, Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson and Neil Peart or, you know, Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, what they were sitting around creating, or the Beatles, they didn't have anything but their own minds.
Yeah.
And
And their cell phones weren't blowing up when they're in the middle of working on something.
right,
You know?
right,
And
right.
they didn't share it with anybody.
Yeah.
No.
You had to
right.
go out and see the movie, help in the theater. You had to go out and buy the record to see what there was no behind the scenes stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And when you got that, and they were kind of mysterious. The curtain wasn't pulled back. I
Right.
didn't know
That's
I
true.
didn't know anything about those artists personally.
Right.
I didn't know that, you know, Neil Peart rode a motorcycle and, you know, wrote books and shit. I didn't know any of that. I just know he was a great drummer.
Yes.
It's true.
I mean,
Yeah.
let's face the facts. I mean, Milli Vanilli really started the wave. That was
Mm.
unbelievable. What I mean, when their sample went crazy on stage and he ran off. You guys remember that time?
Yeah,
Yep.
I saw it.
You know,
Yeah.
go you know, it's go you know. And it just kept skipping. He was like, I'm out of here. He ran off stage. I just sat there. I went, there it is. There it is.
You know, it just reminded me. I don't watch American Idol anymore, but I saw a clip this morning of Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo performing, and I think they were doing it live. I don't think there was any syncing or lip syncing or any of that stuff.
I would think they'd be old school about that, those two. They're
But I
so
think
talented.
it might have been Carrie Underwood that sang "Rebel Yell" with Steve Stevens, and that was definitely synced. The music was too perfect. It sounded was
Yeah.
piped in.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but you got to give the older singer, Pat Benatar, at 70 whatever years old,
Yeah.
singing her own song with without no auto tune or any of that shit. And she just pulled it off. It was great.
It
Yeah.
was, and the thing is, as far as a musician, you know what? A lot of fans recognize that. You know, as far as a Kiss show, you can sample a whole Kiss show. No offense, Mongo. You could sample a whole Kiss show and people won't care. You know why? Because Kiss was not built on musicianship. Kiss was
That's
built
true.
on entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah.
know,
That's
you-
a good distinction.
It's a different model. It's a completely different model.
Yeah.
They were a bit of a circus, and I mean that in a good way. But
That
they
was
were
amazing.
a circus.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
As opposed to like a Steely Dan who had no show, but they were phenomenal. But
exactly
they had zero show.
right.
Yeah.
And you know, when you get to a certain point, like Motley Crue or Vince Neil, you know, maybe it's time. Someone like Vince Neil should sit down and say to himself, "Well, maybe I should, you know, take care of myself more." You know, because when you're a singer and you start to get older, you have to take care of yourself more. I mean,
Right.
I'm still Trish and I are still at peak level of singing fantastic and a lot of high songs because we're in a serious diet. We don't drink, we don't do drugs, we eat healthy, we exercise, and it helps our voice. We hydrate all the time. Yeah, it
Right.
sucks. I'd like to go on stage and act like a rock star, but you know
Yeah.
what? I don't have the room for that anymore. So someone like Vince Neil, he's going out there and he is just huckstering his whole fan base,
Yeah.
you know,
He is.
for the dollar, and it's absolutely horrible.
Hmm.
So you know,
True.
I mean, well, with that, or take the songs. You know what? No one's going to care if Vince Neil goes in an interview and says, "Listen, I'm going to take it down a whole step to show, and I'm going to change some of the lyrical lines in the songs of how I sing them, so I can at least we can reminisce on what was the past." Now, every fan would accept that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, look at Steve Perry. Steve Perry bowed out because he knew He's like, I'm not going out there and singing 4 octaves at my age of 75 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
He's not going to do it.
That's not stopping David Lee Roth, though.
But you know, it's so entertaining.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
So
Well, he's
bad,
there.
it's entertaining.
Diamond Dave's coming to Asbury Park, baby. He's going to be
I
twirling
saw
his
that.
microphone and he's trying to hit high notes he can't hit anymore. It's going to be fantastic.
He's still one of my idols.
Every
man.
dog in New Jersey's ears are going to go, huh?
He's one of my idols. I mean, he was the master of. He was hands down the best frontman ever in rock. Period.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Well, with that, gentlemen, it's almost an hour already.
It is.
What I
It
think we'll
is.
do is we'll quickly plug our sponsors if we got a chance here. We'll talk about Confections of a Rock Star since we mentioned Asbury Park.
Absolutely.
You want to take it, Dave?
Oh, I will. Confections of a Rock Star, Cookman Avenue, Asbury Park. Phenomenal place to visit. It's rock-based, but it's food. And my favorite part is you get little pup cakes for your dog. That comes up on the next clip. Look at that. That is not just dog-friendly. It's dog treat food. And right inside the same room that has been approved by our friend Alice Cooper, who I once saw in burgers, special burgers, same building. Look at that. Look at that. I want one right now. Got all that on Cookman Avenue. It's fantastic. There we go. Thank you so much, guys, for sponsoring us, too. We
Thank
do
you,
appreciate
sponsors,
it.
and thank you, Mooch, for coming on board and being candid with us and talking about the state of technology. And now I'm going to go download some music. By the way, those music beds, that was me.
I like that.
No AI. That was me playing into a 4-track recorder.
We love it. We
Amazing.
love it. Yes.
Yeah. Screaming guitars.
Very good.
Well, till next time, gentlemen. Yeah, it was good. I mean, we could talk for hours. I know.
We could. We will next time we see you, too.
I'm sorry. This setup is not as luxurious as the wonderful, Riverview Studios was with the couch and the booze and the girls and everything. But
People don't care about that anymore. They just want the information. They want to be excited, and if they're not engaged, they're
well,
lost.
that's what we found out. It's all about content. It's not about where we're filming our content. So we decided to dumb it down, and that's
Which is good
after
for us.
COVID would happen to us. So
Dumb
we can
is
bring
good for
people in
us.
from all over the world,
Yep.
like you, for where you're located, way out in another country somewhere, right?
Yeah, I'm in Istanbul right now. I'm milking camels.
Your feed looks like you're coming from us from the moon, but at least the audio held up.
Yeah. I got to keep it dark back here because I got farm animals.
It's Mooch from Armas too, ladies and gentlemen. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for coming on board. And I was going to end the show with this person. I think I'm going to, since we mentioned the Amish Outlaws, let's give the Amish Outlaws a little bit of love.
It's one of my
Just
favorite.
Big Daddy Abel from the Amish Outlaws. Have a good night, everybody.
Love
We'll
this.
see you next
Good
time.
night.
on
Thank
Guitar
you.
Tales.
Whoop. There we go. I hit my mic.
I'm number 2. I'm number 2. No, I was the second. That's right. I was the second one. The second on Guitar Tales, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching it right now. I'm Big Daddy Abel, the Amish Outlaws. I gotta go back to work. Here we go. Guitar Tales, watch it.